We are live, everybody. Welcome in TV Sports 27, and we are getting ready for the AEW All In recap, the review. I want you guys to jump in the comments and chat along with us. We're going to simulate some of the matches that we saw at the event, and I want you guys to jump in and give me your thoughts. We'll kind of go match by match here and talk about the show, but just got done watching it not that long ago. What a show. Long show as we expected. About 5 hours if you watched the 0 hour kickoff, which I watched most of it. I skipped like the last 10 minutes or so when they started kind of doing panel stuff there. But we got Eli joining us in the chat. And welcome into the chat. And hopefully you guys will jump in the chat and chat along with us as we go live. And Eli, did you get a chance to watch AEW All In? Let me know your thoughts, and I guess we'll kind of just start at the beginning here, as this was the opening contest on the show, but of course we had the 0 hour kicking things off at AEW All In, and the kickoff was the ROH Tag Team Championship match. MJF, Adam Cole starting things off and getting the win over Aussie Open. That was a long time ago. It's about 6 p.m. and for me right now, 0 hour started at noon. So that's a long time ago. So trying to think back at what happened that many hours ago. But yeah, it was a rather quick match. So they were MJF and Adam Cole able to preserve their energy to come back for the main event, and they were able to get the victory. And now brand new ROH Tag Team Champions, which would kind of play into what happened in the main event coming up later that evening. We had our first of many hardcore matches and blood on the show in the next matchup, the FTW Championship on the line, which if they kind of turn that into maybe like a hardcore championship, I think that would be pretty cool going forward. We had Hook getting the win over Jack Perry, and once again, FTW champion. Eli says, I haven't watched it. I heard it was pretty good, but I'm not a big AEW viewer. Oh my goodness. Well, we have a non-AEW viewer in the house. I wonder, is it, I'm curious, what's the reasoning behind the not watching any AEW? Is it just too much WWE content, or just not a fan? Or I wonder, kind of curious, folks' perspective, why they may not be a fan of one particular broadcast. And I can imagine a timing thing. It's tough to watch all the hours of wrestling that we have out there these days. But FTW Championship match, pretty awesome. Well, I thought at least. And we had the limo that came out. Jungle Boy brought the limo out, and my God, some of the moves that happened on that limo. I mean, we had the Brain Buster. I thought Hook was going to fall off the thing a couple of times with how slick his shoes were on that limo. That thing was dented beyond belief by the time they got done with it. Blood was shed in that one, and it goes without saying as well that there was kind of a lot of rumors that went on online involving Jungle Boy and CM Punk. It remains to be seen. Of course, you take all rumors and things that are reported with a grain of salt, if you will, but there was allegedly an altercation between Jungle Boy and CM Punk backstage, where we're hearing that CM Punk, I don't know, may have been the victim or whatever, but it was instigated by Jungle Boy, according to the rumors, and then he was sent away from the building. So, interested to see if anyone has any more thoughts on that situation, or if they've heard anything differently. Jump in the comments and let me know about that, but that was an alleged situation, and we'll have to see how that one plays out in the coming weeks. But new FTW champion was Hook, and was a pretty awesome match, and Hook starting to really come into his own. The submission victory over Jungle Boy. Yes, Eli, I did, and actually we did an entire stream tribute to Bray Wyatt, so if you'd like to check that out in the archives, we did that a couple of nights ago, so you can hear all of our thoughts as we did our Bray Wyatt Terry Funk tribute show. So I encourage you to check that out in the YouTube archives there. The next match was the one we're looking at right now, the real world champion on the line, championship on the line, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. And again, I thought this one was pretty awesome as well. Bloodshed again. We had back-to-back bloodshed as CM Punk busted open, and he was able to get the win and put Samoa Joe away, I thought, in rather quick fashion. And we'll kind of touch upon some of the next matches coming up that maybe did kind of hit into that long territory. But yeah, CM Punk was tossed into the announce table by Samoa Joe through the announce table. And this is early in the broadcast. We had Jim Ross on the call along with Tony Schiavone, and they kind of mixed and switched guys out, which I really like to kind of freshen things up. But CM Punk also busted out the Hogan. He busted the ear out and the John Cena 5 moves of doom in that match. So you can imagine the folks in Wembley not too much of a fan of that one. So CM Punk coming out and busting out those mannerisms there on Samoa Joe. Drop the leg, brother. He dropped the leg on Samoa Joe and tried to get the spinning toe hold as well, a Terry Funk maneuver, but Joe was able to counter. And then it was a Pepsi plunge maneuver from CM Punk, and he was able to get the victory over Samoa Joe and retain the Real World's title. So I wonder now, as we head, and there's only a week in between, so now we got All Out coming out up in Chicago, and I wonder if CM Punk will be having a championship defense of the quote-unquote Real World's title when that comes around. And going forward now that kind of I would think CM Punk now 2 victories over Samoa Joe, and with what happened in the main event tonight, if Punk and MJF, if their paths are going to cross at all coming up down the line. So CM Punk, your winner, and still the Real World Champion. So the next match, we had the 6-man tag, Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita going up against the Golden Elite. Of course, when you have these 6 guys in the match, it's always going to be an awesome battle. This one was really long, though. This was over 20 minutes. In fact, the next 2 matches were both 2 of the longest in the card, over 20 minutes. And I don't know when it's good to have a really long match, and if it's good to have it early on in the card or later in the card, because the main event would last nearly 30 minutes, although that didn't feel like it. This one and the next match did kind of feel like it a little bit to me, unfortunately. A really good match, but it definitely at some points dragged, and I think could have been, 5 to 8 minutes, even less, and it still would have been an awesome matchup. But Don Callis came out. He was at ringside, and we'll get more into that match in just a second. You see CM Punk gets the victory there. Eli says, I don't watch AEW mainly because me and my friends don't like Tony Khan. What's wrong with Tony Khan? Oh man, Tony Khan getting the hate in the chat. Poor Tony. So there you go. We'll get our next match in the ring in just a moment here. But yeah, it was the 6-man tag between, and you know what? I don't have all 6 of these guys on my card, but I do have, so we can simulate this one as well while we are talking about it here. We can do Kenny Omega because we have him. We can put him one-on-one with Jay White. How's that for a compromise there? Because we have Ibushi in the game, and we don't have Adam Page, we don't have Takeshita, I don't have Juice, so that'll be your next best situation there. But yeah, a 6-man tag team match. We had Don Callis join at ringside, and I'd say it was mostly dominated. The gun boys got in there and did their thing for a while, kind of created a bit of a distraction. And Hangman, he got tagged in late in the matchup. He was able to come in and kind of dominated all 3 of them, right? Knocked the 3 down. And Nigel McGuinness, by the way, he was pretty awesome on commentary throughout, including later on in the broadcast during the coffin match. His Christian Cage commentary was pretty awesome. He was good. So Adam Page, Avalanche Blockbuster at one point on Takeshita kind of late, and he would set up for the buckshot lariat, but the Guns would come in and distract him, but they would be hit with a moonsault from there. So a lot of distractions in this one from the Guns. Classic Bullet Club scenario there where they kind of all get into the mix and mess with things. Kenny Omega, of course, came in with a bunch of V-triggers to his opponents, and then Takeshita came in the surprise victory onto Kenny Omega to get the roll-up and the win at All In. Kenny Omega, the king of the stadium shows, the king of the Tokyo Dome, comes to Wembley Stadium and takes the loss. And as I said, a little long, a little lengthy. I definitely felt the length of that one. The ending was definitely really awesome, but it had some moments where it had a bit where it kind of dragged in the middle just a little bit. Eli in the chat says, who's your favorite AEW wrestler? Mine is either Adam Cole or Wardlow. Can't go wrong with either of those two, especially Wardlow. I think a lot of people are waiting to see what the next move for Wardlow is going to be. But favorite AEW wrestler, I think right now it's got to be, when I think of folks that I kind of get the most excited, I really like Darby Allin and Sting. And I know like the tag team and Sting, he's been around forever, but I really like the connection that those two have together, that Darby Allin and Sting, the tag team that they have put together. I really enjoy, and he goes all out. The poor guy, I know he's gonna hurt himself one day, but Darby Allin, really enjoy watching him. On the women's side, I think Hikaru Shida is always really fun to watch. Of course, we'll talk about her match later on, losing the AEW Women's Championship, but Shida's always fun to watch. I've always been a Buddy Murphy fan. Murphy, part of the House of Black here in AEW. He's always a thrill, and you can't go wrong with a good MJF promo. Jungle Boy's someone I've always liked too. And stay tuned, because there may be some plans coming up with Jungle Boy in our universe mode. So stay tuned for that. Little teaser, little spoiler there. But he's on this evil side now. So it's you got to kind of root against him and boo him and cheer against him, which is rather unfortunate. Eddie Kingston as well. It's hard not to like Eddie Kingston for what he brings into the mix. He started off as well kind of on the evil side with Penta and Phoenix, and is just turned into a big fan favorite. And Jon Moxley, if you like that style of wrestling, he's nuts. Moxley is nuts. But I definitely, every time Darby Allin gets in the ring and we get a chance to see Darby and Sting, I think that's where I kind of get the most pumped. I get the most excited. The Luchadors they brought in as well. Commander, he's incredibly fun to watch. Vikingo comes in from time to time. So yeah, a lot of good stuff right there. So up next was the Tag Team Championship match, Young Bucks and FTR. And this was another one where it didn't drag as much as the six-man tag, but it definitely was very, very, very long, and it was one that I was kind of feeling at this point, because I feel like, I don't know, when you want to, I've never booked other than, universe cards, which obviously not real life, but I would think you kind of want to start the show off fast and furious, and after the opening match, we had two really long, kind of slower matches where, I don't know, maybe it's better to get those out of the way early or what, but we had FTR and the Young Bucks that went at it, and of course all the speculation about Cash Wheeler and his legal situation, and whether or not maybe they would lose the Tag Team Championships here or not to the Young Bucks. It was definitely a super kick party from the Young Bucks. They hit a bunch of them in this matchup, without a doubt. We had FTR with some dueling sharpshooters as well. I'm kind of looking at some of this stuff on Twitter, and I don't think I can show you because I think that would be a copyright, but that's something maybe, I don't know, I don't even want to chance it. the Rey Mysterio showcase stuff we just did the other day, I have to edit a part out because it got copyrighted, of course. So I'd rather not even take the chances. But dueling sharpshooters was pretty crazy. The Young Bucks attempting a powerplex, but FTR countered. Nick Jackson accidentally taking out Matt. Looking at, as well as I want to give credit to postwrestling.com. I'm looking at a lot of the times and recap on their website as well. I've been listening to Post Wrestling since the Law days, so go take a listen to them. Post Wrestling, they're doing their own review right now that you guys want to check out. But a lot of the recap, if it may sound familiar, I'm kind of borrowing from postwrestling.com, so I want to make sure I throw that credit out to them. Because this is a long show, and to try to remember everything that went down over the hours. Of course, the main event fresh on the mind as well. But Bucks, they attempted. The Bucks then blocked a Shatter Machine. A lot of blocked moves down the stretch. The Shatter Machine got blocked, and then a couple of V triggers got blocked a number of times on the FTR side of things. Dax Wheeler accidentally hit Cash. Young Bucks would then come in hitting the multiple super kicks on Dax Harwood, and then a stuffed pile driver, which would result in a near fall. A lot of close near falls in that tag team contest. Bucks then missed one of their a BTE trigger. I called it the V trigger. That's what Omega calls it, but the BTE trigger allowing Dax and Cash to hit an FTR trigger on Matt Jackson, followed by a Shatter Machine, which I think everybody thought that one was going to be it. And in fact, even Excalibur said that's it, retain the titles, but no, only a 2 count and the kick out. Cash Wheeler then attempted a 450 splash, if you can believe that. I mean, we've seen him do it before, but Cash with the 450. And according to Post Wrestling, that's what cost FTR the match back in 2020. So thinking back to way back then. Cash was able to kick out, though, but then the Bucks come in, another BTE trigger, and Nick Jackson pulled Cash Wheeler. Actually, no, that was coming up. That was when it was very, very close whether or not Cash kicked out or not, and it looked like Nick Jackson pulled him up, but I think Nick Jackson was trying to pin his arm to the ground, and Cash kicked out, and it looked like that he may have pulled up the arm, but I think it was a solid kick out there, but it was a very quick, it was a race against the clock, basically, whether or not that kick out was going to happen, or if it was going to be a 1-2-3, or if it was going to be broken up by a teammate or not. So Bucks followed that up with their own Shatter Machine, and then another BTE trigger. I told you there was a lot of BTE triggers in that match. The Bucks then came in for a Meltzer driver, but FTR would counter that. A Shatter Machine finally hit on their end after multiple attempts and multiple blocks, and FTR would get the victory. 21 minutes and 45 seconds the count here, according to Post Wrestling. So tag team championships retained in that contest, and what was again a very, very good matchup, a long one of the 3 longest matches on the show, and having those 2 super long matches in back-to-back fashion, can be a tough ask, and it can happen, but FTR gets the win. We got Eli saying, apparently there's a Wheeler's Got a Gun chant. Yes, if you go on Twitter, that is indeed true. Wheeler's Got a Gun made an appearance at All Out. And if you go on Twitter and search that very thing, you can get some in-the-crowd video that's definitely unique to this era of being able to get footage from in the crowd. And that's something we wouldn't ever get back then. Imagine some of the shows of the past that we missed out on having that crowd cell phone footage of some of those NWO shows or some of those Attitude Era Raws. What if they had a cell phone in the crowd during that time, and we could have gotten some of that behind-the-scenes stuff? So up next, this is where things started to pick up, at least for me, a little bit, as it was Stadium Stampede time. And I'm a sucker for the old picture-in-picture box, the old double box. Not when they go to commercial, but it takes me back to the late 90s WCW era, 96, 97, Public Enemy, Harlem Heat, Nasty Boys, when they would have their brawls all around the arena, and they would go with the double box and show the brawl happening at the same time. I love that stuff. It just seemed like chaos. And this is what we got with Stadium Stampede. This was the very first Stadium Stampede with a full stadium. The last two during the pandemic era. So not many fans in attendance, if any. I think scattered around, maybe some in past of that. But much like in the FTR match, or the FTW match, rather, and in the opening contest, we had a lot of blood. We had a lot of bloodshed in this one. Blackpool Combat Club, Santana and Ortiz going up against the Best Friends. We're in there with Penta and Eddie Kingston, no Phoenix.
Weighing in at 246 pounds, the Icon.
So, of course, Jon Moxley busted open super early in that contest. We had skewers, we had barbed wire, we had barbed wire bats, we had barbed wire chairs, we had Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, and Eddie Kingston battling up into a luxury box. They battled up through the highs of the arena. We had Orange Cassidy that was covered in blood. I think it was the most blood I've ever seen Orange Cassidy bleed. Eli said, I've just seen the pictures of Omega, Page, and Ibushi, and they look so much like video game characters. From All In, are you talking about? From Alive? I can imagine. I know Ibushi and Omega, I'm not sure what they were referencing, if they were referencing a certain game. I know that Hikaru Shida was definitely cosplaying up, but let's see if we can't see. Oh, hear that? It's food time. Cat's food is dropping. Kenny Omega attire. Let's see. What does the internet say? He definitely always dresses as something. I don't know. Let me know what folks say. I can't on Twitter type it in Kenny Omega attire. It doesn't come up. Kenny Omega cosplay? Does that come up as anything? Does not. Okay. So let me know. Let me know if you know what they were dressed up as in that matchup. Hit me with that. But it was Stadium Stampede time as we were going over here. There was a branding iron that made its way into the matchup, and of course Terry Funk getting the love and respect. Moxley pulled some skewers out, and they got used on Moxley, and the wrapping was still around the skewers, so they didn't at first fan out. So it was just this massive skewer into Moxley's head, which was pretty brutal and gross, right? Penta powerbomb through some chairs and seemed like he was hurt, much like Phoenix, and they took Penta out of the arena, and it looked like that he was going to be done. So following that up, Eddie and Claudio were up way up, which we were kind of talking about that earlier. That's where Nigel McGuinness was calling that the Royal Box, whether or not that's an actual Royal Box or not. Moxley whipped out the fork, of course. We had a little Abdullah. The Butcher love there as the fork was used on Orange Cassidy, and that's where he started his bloodshed. Wheeler Yuta and Chuck Taylor, of course, also went backstage. I think we saw a bottle at one point get broken over the head of Eddie Kingston. Umbrellas were used at one point as well. Kingston went after some security in the Royal Box VIP area, and back in the ring, we had Trent Beretta, who took a couple pretty wicked blows into a ladder. He got beat up good. He was busted open as well, and he also got thrown into a barbed wire board. Pile driver into the steps by Moxley as well onto Beretta, and we would see some other pretty brutal power bombs and pile drivers into steel steps still to come on All In, including in the main event. Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, and Chuck Taylor returned from the Royal Box, and who would drive up but Sue? Sue got the big cheer of the night from the crowd at All In. They were at Sue, and then there's a tray of cookies that was handed to Trent Beretta. That got used as a weapon from Sue. And then Penta returned as Penta Oscuro, dressed in all red. Pretty awesome. Ladder was set up, and he hits a sunset flip power bomb onto Ortiz through 2 tables. So we got to see the dark side of Penta come out as he put Ortiz. This is all chaos that we're hearing, and it was about the same amount of time as the other 2 matches, about 20 minutes in length, but it just, the chaos of it all, it just went so quick and so fast. So there's a group hug at one point. Of course, it's the best friends, and Yuta then tried to hit Chuck Taylor with a screwdriver, busted the screwdriver out. Chuck Taylor ducked under it, and the screwdriver going right into the turnbuckle pad. Claudio comes in, tried to get the pin onto Orange Cassidy, and he would hit the big swing on Orange Cassidy, getting a good number of rotations in there. Lego's main appearance as well, and then Trent superplexed Ortiz off the top to the outside through a table. Orange Cassidy following up with 3 orange punches on Claudio, but Claudio was able to kick out of that, and then Orange Cassidy puts the duct tape on in reverse fashion around the hand, dipping it into the broken glass, and was going to light up Claudio with the punch, but Jon Moxley came in, stopped that, put an end to it, put some broken glass onto his chest. My God, Jon Moxley. Eddie Kingston then got back into the ring there. He had a barbed wire wrap chair, took a couple shots at Claudio, sent him down. Moxley put an end to that, and Eddie would come in with a few spinning back fists, and Orange Cassidy hits the orange punch with the glass on his fist onto Claudio. So Claudio with the barbed wire chair with the glass punch, he would go down. Claudio pinned by Orange Cassidy, and the best friends, Penta and Eddie Kingston, your winners in the first stadium stampede with 80,000 people in it. So, my goodness, that was chaos. So, we had the Fatal 4-Way Women's Championship matchup up next, and that was between Saraya, Toni Storm, Hikaru Shida, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Saraya coming out to We Will Rock You. Toni Storm coming out to God Save the Queen. And Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida. Of course, Hikaru Shida always has some awesome gear that she makes herself. So this one kind of went fast and furious. It was not as long as some of the other matches early on in the broadcast. We had Ruby Soho that came down and got involved in the matchup, and she actually tried to stop Toni Storm at some point, but Toni Storm hit Ruby Soho, who stomped off quite angrily. So whether or not this is kind of the beginning of the end of the Outcast, not sure. But now you have Saraya that's going to be at the top of the mountain, and then the Outcasts that are kind of battling with each other and kind of out at each other's throats. So there was some interesting stuff there. Saraya and Toni Storm got into it as well, as Saraya tried to lock in a submission on Toni Storm, but Britt Baker came in, it looked like a curb stomp, but the head going right into the mat of Britt Baker onto Toni Storm. She then tried to hit the lockjaw on Hikaru Shida, but Shida was able to fight it off, couldn't get it locked in. Saraya then got Toni Storm in the eyes with the spray paint and hit the nightcap to get the win. Her whole family comes in the ring and celebrates. So a lot of stuff that I imagine is going to go down on AEW on Dynamite coming up in regards to this, where you had the spray paint used, you had Saraya and Toni Storm at each other. You had Ruby Soho get involved and kind of got, pushed out of the way in that regard. 8:45 was the result of that one, and Saraya is your brand new AEW Women's Champion. Saraya, she got the win. All right, the match, we're taking a look at a reduced version of what we got. We have the coffin match up next between Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage going up against Sting and Darby Allin. That's where Eli was asking who's your favorite in AEW. And every time Darby and Sting get together, something big happens, and it happened once again. We saw another appearance from Joker Sting in this one. He had a very cool video in the beginning backstage, and we had Seek and Destroy by Metallica, first time since the WCW days. We got to hear that. Tony Khan busting out the checkbook to get these big songs. So the match would begin, and as expected, picking up where Stadium Stampede left off, brutality. And we didn't get the bloodshed in this match, but we got bumps, we got bruises, and we had a lot going down. So you see Swerve got the win in our simulation. Not what happened in real life, though. That is not how it went down, as... Of course, my game's going crazy right now. One minute, let me get this next match. It's hard. I gotta set the next match up. Can you create shows? I thought maybe that'd be an easier way than to just go one match by match. Seek and Destroy. Yeah, Eli's saying Seek and Destroy. It was very cool to hear that again, and also very surprising. I wasn't like, when that hit, I was like, oh my god, because it's not often that it's pretty well known that Metallica can be one of the more expensive and tougher bands to do business with, where they got deep pocketbooks and they're charging a lot. So Seek and Destroy on there. Daniel Lewis joining us in the chat as well. Daniel, did you get a chance to watch AEW All In? The one nice thing about a 5-hour broadcast is when it happens in England, you're done by 6 p.m., so you still got the whole day. Where in the East Coast, when one of these 5-hour marathons starts at 8 o'clock and you're going past midnight, 1 a.m., that can be tough. But we still got the whole rest of the day, which is awesome. So we're talking about the coffin match. Sting and Darby Allin, they busted out the thumbtack jacket. Sting, never thought I'd see the day, but Sting wearing the thumbtack jacket, I'm pretty sure for the first time in his career. They hit some Stinger splashes into the corner onto Christian Cage and onto Swerve. Then they were in control for pretty much the early going of that matchup, and then Swerve and Christian would come back with dueling spears on both of them. Christian, he's just trying to outwork Edge. Edge put on that amazing performance on SmackDown just a couple of nights ago, and Christian Cage, who was kind of in the background of Luchasaurus, he's been going crazy, he's been going nuts with what he's been doing out there. So a couple of spears hit into that one, and then Darby Allin's hands, maybe some tape that was left behind from Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy leaving the duct tape. He duct taped the hands together and would get attacked by Swerve repeatedly. He attacked Sting with the bat as well on the outside of the ring. Darby, still with the hands restrained, hit a second rope moonsault and then a dive to the outside, and that's when Sting broke him loose. Like, Darby Allin's crazy to be doing all that with your hands taped together. You can break a wrist, you can snap. Come on. Eli in the chat says, here in the UK it started at 5 p.m., so that means it would have ended at 10 p.m. That's still cool by me. That's a perfect time. Let's get some more pay-per-views that start at 5 p.m., whether it be in the US, whether it be, and even for West Coast, like if you started 5 p.m. for Eastern time, that would still be, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock start West Coast. That would be no different than this, so yeah.
From London, England.
So we had Sting, he freed up Darby Allin, he cut the tape, and then he was getting ready to slam Swerve into the coffin, but Christian kicks it closed at the last minute, so saved the match, but then Swerve ended up breaking his back and getting slammed into the coffin with it being closed rather than it being open, so maybe Swerve can have a little response for Christian at the end of that one. Sting then attempted to splash Swerve through a table on the outside of the ring, but as Nigel McGuinness said, that tough British table, it didn't budge, so Sting, he went for it again. Sting went for a second time, dove off the apron, boom, put Swerve through the table on the outside of the ring. Darby Allin was right back at it again. Top rope, shotgun drop kick on Christian, who was seated in a chair on the floor. And Christian nearly closed into the coffin. They kind of propped the coffin up on the ring apron and put Christian in vertical and tried to slam it shut, but that's where we saw Luchasaurus get involved. He got in, he took Darby Allin, threw him into the coffin. The coffin got dented up beyond belief at this point. Nick Wayne made an appearance. He hit Luchasaurus with a skateboard, and then Luchasaurus would follow that up with a headbutt and choke slam that and snap the skateboard into skateboard. I'm sure all of you have picked up a skateboard at one point in time. Skateboards, they're tough. They're very tough. And this poor man got choke slammed right through a skateboard. Compliments of Luchasaurus. So forget about it. He got taken out of the mix. Darby tried a coffin drop on Swerve, who was on the top of the coffin, but Swerve moved and Darby Allin crashed right into the coffin, and that thing dented, but that thing ain't got no give to it. That's brutal. You going back first onto your coffin like that. Darby Allin's exciting to watch. He's fun to watch, but golly, he puts everything on the line for the people, without a doubt, with what he does in the ring. Sting would get Christian locked in the Scorpion Deathlock at this point, which you kind of had flashbacks to TNA back with their feud in the mid-2000s. Not the first time Sting and Christian have gone at it, and if you guys follow Impact Wrestling on Twitter, they were right there to remind you of that fact as well. Swerve came in and he hit Sting with the chair to break up the Scorpion Deathlock, but Sting, he wasn't feeling that. Sting, in classic Sting fashion, he pounded the chest, he got fired up, he got in Swerve's face, and then Christian used Sting's bat to low blow him. Sting goes down. Swerve double stomped Sting from the top rope and put Sting into the open coffin. He put the bat in there as well, which was a big mistake because when they went to shut the lid, Sting slipped the bat in between the coffin and kept the thing propped open. So it's a big mistake on Swerve's part, trying to make you know what he's trying to bury Sting and bury the bat, right? Trying to make a statement right there. Sting was having no part of that. So Swerve then took Sting, slammed him on top of the coffin. I was having flashbacks to Sting and Abyss in TNA. He went for a 450 splash, but unlike Sammy Guevara, this time Sting did move out of the way, and Darby Allin crashed into the coffin. On the outside of the ring, Darby would then hit Christian with the TNT Championship. We got the match coming up at All Out between Darby and Luchasaurus. Sting hit the Scorpion Death Drop on Swerve on top of the coffin. None of this could have felt good. And the coffin was all bent, and there were parts that were sticking up everywhere. It was brutal. Sting got Swerve in the coffin, would try to close it, but Swerve put his fingers in there, and his fingers would get all smashed up and whatnot. So Darby goes to the top and hits the coffin drop on Swerve, who was halfway out of the coffin to crush him, and then they were able to put him in there. That couldn't have felt good. Darby Allin, the number of coffin drops that he hit with his back onto that thing could not have felt good. Are we gonna, yeah. Oh, how about Chris Jericho with the No Mercy count out right there over Will Ospreay? Forget about it. But Darby Allin, his back's got to be a mess. Swerve's spine cannot feel good after that. My God. Eli said, I knew about Will Ospreay before New Japan. There's this British wrestling promotion called World of Sport Wrestling, and on the show, people like Will Ospreay, Grado, Kaylee Ray, Bulldog Jr. Yeah. That was the big comeback that they certainly attempted. That was where I think Jim Ross did the inaugural show. He did the announcing on the first show. And then that's when WWE, I believe, was the same time frame where they snatched him away and got him for the Mae Young Classic, if I have all my timelines correct. And I think it lasted a season or two. They kind of did the season format, almost like what they did in Lucha Underground. And yeah, it did not, for the World of Sport comeback did not last all that long. But I do remember when that was, and Grado was like a main part of that show as well. So pretty cool. I feel the same way about MJF, because I started watching MJF on MLW, and I remember Court Bauer on podcast saying, hyping up and talking about this MJF who I had never heard of before. And I watched him on MLW through the Dynasty, and to see what he's become now in AEW and main eventing an 80,000 person show is crazy from where I was watching him at in MLW. So I get that feeling, and it's pretty cool to be able to be a part of those folks kind of on the ground level, right? So I haven't been watching too much MLW as of late, and I think it's just a case of there being so much stuff out there that it's hard to keep up with. I'll scroll through a little bit. I know Raven's doing some cool stuff over there, but MLW, they took a little break from YouTube, and that's kind of where I fell out of it, and now they're back on YouTube, so just got to make the time. After the Coffin match, we had Jericho and Will Ospreay. We had Fozzy, who played Judas live, which was super cool. We had Don Callis back out again, and we saw the footage from Rev Pro where Chris Jericho showed up. This one did not go as long as I thought it was going to go, and it actually, the ending kind of caught me by surprise, because it felt like it just kind of hit out of nowhere. So pretty early on, we're going back and forth a bit, and Will Ospreay would block a Judas effect from Chris Jericho. He would nail an Os cutter, and of course an Ospreay match, all this stuff. I mean, it's a who's who of everything that happened, and you'd have to have a scroll to write down all the stuff that Ospreay did in the match. He went for a Stormbreaker. Jericho would reverse it into the walls of Jericho, which was a pretty incredible moment, and the people lost their mind. Don Callis would get up in the ring and try to distract the referee. Sammy Guevara, who seems to be the last member that's kind of hanging around of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Everyone else walked out on him, but by God, Sammy Guevara is right there and still a part of the Jericho family, at least temporarily. Will Ospreay then hit the power bomb, or he powered out of the walls of Jericho and get a near fall with a Spanish fly. Jericho followed that up with an attempted Os cutter from Chris Jericho, if you can believe that. Ospreay kicked out and hulked up. He would do the Hulk up, brother. He attempted a Stormbreaker, but Jericho low blowed him without the ref seeing it. We had a few low blows in this broadcast. Jericho would then hit the Judas effect, and Will Ospreay would kick out at the count of 2. Is he the only one? Is he the first? Or there's not been many people that have kicked out of the Judas effect. That is one of the nearly unbreakable, unbeatable finishing moves. But in Wembley Stadium, Will Ospreay kicked out of it. So it kind of felt like a New Japan match. I mean, it was counter after counter after counter in this contest. And Will Ospreay would finally hit the Stormbreaker onto Chris Jericho, which is quite the sight to see. And Chris Jericho, a former Cruiserweight champion, but he's bulked up since then. And for Ospreay to land the Stormbreaker, and this was his third attempt as well that he finally hit it, but Jericho would kick out. Ospreay would set up for the hidden blade, but Jericho would turn around and hit him with the old meta finger right there in England. Ospreay then finally hit the hidden blade onto Jericho, and he hit him in the face. And he would hit one more Stormbreaker and get the pinfall victory. So when it reads like that, you think it kind of makes sense, like, okay, he did go down, but it kind of caught me off guard, because I was expecting, with just some of the 20-minute matches we had early in the night, this one to kind of go on a little bit further, but it did not. It was the Stormbreakers and the hidden blade and all that put Chris Jericho away. And the big story after the match was Jericho shoving Sammy Guevara away. So Guevara was the last holdout, the last standout of the JAS, staying with them. And Jericho, the frustration, got mad and shoved Sammy Guevara away. So we'll see how that one plays out as we got All Out coming up. Maybe we have a Jericho Guevara match. We have the House of Black up next, the AEW Trios Championship, as they talked about the Fireflies in the crowd and Bray Wyatt. The Acclaim came out with their rap, and we had a no-holds-barred match on the card. Julia Hart tried to get involved in that match early on, but the Acclaimed did the scissor drop and took her out of the action. This is where we started to see more of Mercedes Monet shown live. She was shown on the 0 Hour Kickoff, but they showed her a number of times in this matchup as well. Brody King a couple of times tried to get Max Caster with the steel chain, but then he would accidentally hit Malachi Black. The Acclaimed would come in and hit Famousers on all the House of Black members, and had the match won at that point, but Julia Hart would pull the referee out of the ring. Malachi Black would follow that up at the end, hitting the spinning heel kick on Billy Gunn, but Billy Gunn was able to kick out. This was badass Billy Gunn, by the way, and this was not all scissor me daddy. This was badass Billy Gunn making the return here. Billy Gunn hit the Famouser. Bowens hit a second arrival, followed by Max Caster hitting a second mic drop in the match. And all three of them put the pin on Brody King, got the win in about 10 minutes. And the Acclaimed are your Trios champions. So they go from tag team champs to Trios champs in one calendar year. So what a run this has been for the Acclaimed. And Billy Gunn's retirement, I don't think is happening anytime soon, especially after winning those Trios championships. Billy's going to go a little bit further. Eli in the chat says, just saw Sting and Darby Allin entering to Metallica. That was awesome. Yes, they've posted the video, a couple of the entrances, and Hikaru Shida's entrance and Sting's entrance, they've posted on the AEW Twitter page, so go check those out. And then we are off to the main event here, which is what we are looking at right now, MJF versus Adam Cole. And I'll be honest, it was an ending I did not expect. I think everybody going into this is waiting for who's going to turn on who, but we did not get that. We saw the friendship continue on, and it ended with a giant hug and confetti and streamers, and there's streamers dangling from the top of the arena all night long, but there was no breakup here. So this one went almost 30 minutes, but it did not feel like it to me. When I saw the time written here by Post Wrestling, I was like, really? That was the longest match of the night? Because it did not feel like it, and maybe because they had that kind of double pin break in the middle, it didn't quite feel like it, but they started off, shaking hands, and there was good sportsmanship and all that, but it really started getting going at this point. MJF would, he's starting to feel the love from the crowd for the first time in his career, and he hits the dive on the outside of the ring, and his eyes about bugged out of his head, like, whoa. The feeling of hitting that dive and having the people get behind me. Adam Cole yelled at him they might be friends, but he was better than MJF. And he ripped off MJF's Bebe shirt. They were both wearing shirts in the early going in that matchup. MJF would then pound Cole in the corner and bite his forehead. Best friends shouldn't do that. MJF would acquiesce to the crowd's wishes and dove onto Cole. Oh, he did? Okay, he did the tease earlier. I'm looking at Post Wrestling's recap here. He teased the dive earlier and didn't do it. And then, that's right, I do remember that. Then he came and did the dive later on and had the shock moment. So I do remember that now. There was the teaser, the dive teaser, followed up by the actual dive. MJF, though, then would attempt a Panama Sunrise, but he was hit with a couple of super kicks from Adam Cole, Bebe. Cole then would answer back with MJF's Heat Seeker, so they're kind of stealing each other's moves here. They're best friends, they know each other's repertoire, and he would nearly get the victory at that point. But MJF would get his foot onto the ropes to break that one up. Cole then hit a sheer drop brain buster onto the steel ring steps, And this is where I was talking about earlier, how we weren't done with the steel steps moments. My God, that was one that made me cringe, as I know it made Taz cringe, and it made a lot of... That looked brutal. And we saw a lot. We saw Darby Allin's back get destroyed. I know they're not doing headshots. My God, these guys are going to be bent over into a capital L. We saw Darby Allin's back on the coffin. We saw Hook and Jungle Boy's back on the top of the limo, and then MJF here getting hit on the steel steps. Forget about it. So back into the ring after that, MJF talked himself into attempting a tombstone pile driver actually they were on the outside of the ring here, and they went over to the announce table, and MJF got up on the announce table, and he was going to hit the tombstone pile driver on the table to Adam Cole on the table, but he talked himself out of it. He did not want to do that to his best friend, but Adam Cole would then turn and hit the same move, the tombstone pile driver on MJF, and that table did not budge. Nigel McGuinness said there's like a steel beam to give it support, so my God. And MJF suffered back damage, he suffered neck damage there. And MJF, he held up. He did not want to hit the move on Adam Cole, but Adam Cole, he did hit the move on MJF. The fans at Wembley were not happy about that. They had some choice words for Adam Cole that I cannot repeat here. I might get demonetized. So MJF was rolled back into the ring at that point and kicked out at the count of 2. They then hit the double clothesline on each other, which is normally their move, and in fact the move that they won the ROH Tag Team Championships with. Earlier in the broadcast, they would hit it on each other, and they would pin 1, 2, 3 in a draw at 20 minutes. So fans were pissed at that point. They were booing, they were carrying on, and Adam Cole asked MJF for 5 more minutes, and this is where we got a little R-rated on the broadcast, as MJF had some F-words and F-bombs and cussing and all this fun stuff that he threw out at Adam Cole. And he said, we're not going to do 5 minutes, we're going to go till there's a winner. And Tony Khan approved it. So the referee would get knocked out at this point in the restart. MJF would grab a chair, and he and Adam Cole both tossed the chair back and forth to each other. And then MJF would put the chair around his neck and go down. The referee woke up, saw it, looked like he was going to disqualify Adam Cole, and he did not. It was Adam Cole that got the roll-up on, or it was MJF that snuck and got the roll-up on Adam Cole and tried to steal the victory there. So MJF then hits the Heat Seeker, gets the near fall. Cole followed it up with a straightjacket German suplex to MJF on the ring apron, and then he hits the Panama Sunrise onto MJF on the floor. So to recap, MJF has been brain-busted on the steps, he's been pile-driven onto the announce table, and now he's been Panama Sunrise on the arena floor. Please don't make this man wrestle it all out. He needs a neck brace, he needs an ice bath, he needs something. MJF would kick out, though, at that, crazy enough. Adam Cole would go for a second Panama Sunrise, this time in the ring, but MJF pulls the referee into the way, and Bryce Remsburg would take the Panama Sunrise. He would go down. Dynamite Diamond Ring made an appearance at this point, and he was conflicted. MJF was conflicted about it, and he would put the ring back away. So while Adam Cole was kind of going all in, so to speak, MJF was holding back. Roderick Strong would show up at this point and low-blowed MJF. Cole would then hit the Panama Sunrise and would hit the boom, but the referee was down. The referee would finally kind of get back into it and hit the count 1, 2, and MJF kicks out of the count of 2. Roderick Strong tosses the AEW Championship into Adam Cole, and Cole ripped off his Better Than You Baby shirt at this point, picked up the belt, and threw it out of the ring, and Roderick Strong was pissed. He was mad. Roderick Strong stormed out, so not a good night for the seconds for Ruby Soho and Roderick Strong. They got turned by their own team there. MJF would then tell Cole that Oh, this one, hey, we got to do a rubber match now. 2 out of 3 falls. So MJF would, so anyway, Roderick Strong, he would storm out of the arena there, right? And that's where MJF was able to come in, get the advantage, and get the win, get the 1, 2, 3 after Adam Cole. So Adam Cole would attempt to cheat. And then when the championship came in the ring, that's when it was too much. That's when Adam Cole said no, and it resulted in MJF coming and getting the win, sneaking away, getting the victory from Adam Cole. After the match, MJF would tell Cole that the people still love him and it could have gone either way. And this is when the fans want him to hug it out. The ROH tag title was brought into the ring, but Adam Cole tossed them away and MJF got mad. More cussing, more swearing happened at this point. And he hands the world title to Adam Cole and basically said, this is how you wanted it to be, right? This is how you wanted it to be? Take me out. And he did not. He put his back to Adam Cole, but he did not take him out. Roderick Strong also showed up at this point, if you guys remember. And he was basically begging Adam Cole to take him out. But for the second time, Cole throws the belt down. They had the big hug in the middle of the ring. The Better Than You Baby music played. Confetti fell. And the big announcement happened. Roderick Strong was mad. He was with the Kingdom in the entranceway. And the big announcement would happen at the end of this one that we are getting a second All In 1 year from the day. It's going to be at Wembley Stadium once again in August around the same time, 2024. They're going to try to do it again. This is like their WrestleMania. So another All In coming. And that was that. That was the show. So we'll wait. We'll wait for you guys to offer up a couple more thoughts here. Eli, when the ref got knocked out, one of my friends says it's Roman Reigns match, folks. That's just, part of the course of the main event, right? Folks get knocked out and whatnot. So before we wrap this one up, I want to know your guys' thoughts on the show. Overall, favorite match, what do you guys think? If you didn't get a chance to join us on the live stream like Eli and Daniel here, you can still leave your comments down below, and I'll respond to you. I will try to respond to every comment that gets left on every video here, so go ahead and do that. Definitely a long show. I knew that going in. Knew it was going to be a long one going in. Favorite matches, if I had to go, I really like the FTW Championship match, Jack, Perry, and Hook. I thought that match was nuts, and I thought that one was really good. I don't know if I'd put Stadium Stampede up there as a favorite match, but as far as just having a wild brawl and kind of throwing back to those old WCW days with the double box stuff, I really enjoyed that one. The Coffin match would probably be up there as my favorite match of the night. And I guess that goes back to Eli asking who's your favorite wrestler. And, in AEW, and right now being Darby Allin and Sting. So I thought the main event was really awesome too. And that was one that did not feel like 30 minutes, where I felt the length of the 20-minute match. They have the 6-man tag and the tag team title match. Those felt like 20-minute matches. When I saw that the main event match was 30 minutes, I didn't believe it. I had to read it again. Really? That was 30 minutes? So really enjoyed the main event. Really enjoyed the Coffin match. Will Ospreay and Chris Jericho was awesome as well. And one that I thought the ending kind of came out of nowhere. But it was with all the Stormbreakers and the Os Cutters and Hidden Blades and all that happened into that contest. So a lot of exciting moments and a lot of good stuff on the show. Let's do a quick... I wonder if we can go on Twitter here, do a quick Twitter check, and kind of scroll along with you guys, but where we don't get any copyright claim stuff. Give me a moment as we're pulling up Twitter. Maybe we can scroll through. I think we can show some pictures or whatnot. Okay, let's And maybe we can look up like the hashtag, the All In hashtag, and see what people are talking about. So we will go. We will turn the. Tell we're doing this live, huh? Hello, Luna. OBS gives me a pain in the neck sometimes. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's take a look. Let's look at some of the thoughts of All In, the people, hashtag All In. Again, follow us on Twitter. Chat along with us. We got the new AEW World Champion, Women's World Champion, Saraya, with her family winning in her home country. Pretty cool moment. Again, I don't know how much of this we can show copyright-wise. I do forget that there is there's a press conference, so I need to go check that out. Pictures I think we're okay to show. So we're only getting Denise's stuff. Here's where Fozzy's performing, again, trying to scroll past the video stuff. Guess we're going to get hit with a lot of videos. There you see Saraya's victory. That was pretty cool. You can see how cool that was for... How do people in the apartments feel about this? Are those apartments all close by Wembley Stadium? I guess you know what you're signing up for when you get a house or an apartment near Wembley Stadium, right? There was the Sting entrance. Go check that out. That was a pretty cool moment. Videos. Can't show videos. House of Black. They looked really cool. Coming out, the Lantern tribute as well to Bray Wyatt. I kind of overlooked that one. But that was a really cool moment. If I go by fast, hopefully we're not going to get hit. We got a lot of Saraya stuff showing up here. I guess we can show this. Here's your Wheeler's Got a Gun from in the arena. Suppose that's okay to show because it's not actual footage here. If this whole part gets cut out, then you know it got a copyright strike. There you can see when MJF put the chair on his head there. Here's Sheeta's gear. She was cosplaying as someone too. They said it on the broadcast. I don't remember what they had said. Can I get like people's reviews? I'm just getting like all videos. Maybe I need to go to like my feed to get people's thoughts, because all I'm getting is videos. Here was the news about Jack Perry being ordered to leave. Oh yeah, there you go. There's your skewers right into the head from Penta. Of course, my sports stuff showing up here. Stadium Stampede match, AEW All In, or Fight Forever Stadium Stampede. If you guys want to bring AEW to the channel, you guys know what to do. Patreon.com/TVSports27. There's Hook, the new FTW champion. Just a lot of videos, so I can't really show too much. I was hoping to get more people's thoughts on the show. But let's give you guys a little look here. Little plug for our Patreon page. If you guys want to sign up at Patreon. Oh, come on. Don't give me this stuff. Show me as a... Well, I guess I can just scroll down and show. Here's some of the stuff you'd get signing up at Patreon. Couple of different levels. You can help support the channel. You can get our streams that we did over on Twitch that will eventually be coming to YouTube in the month of November. But you can catch them early and ad-free here on Patreon. So if you were to sign up at any level to get the stream replays, you got to sign up at the super fan level. But as little as $10, you get the Tears of the Kingdom replay here, and you can see you can watch this. This is an hour and 18 minutes here. You guys can check that out. We have the Ultra Bowl. You can check out this stream. Look how long this one is. 2 hours and 48 minutes. That is up right now. The Legends Bowl as well. All of the RXFL postseason games. Here you can see this was like a 4-hour stream that we did. 3 hours and 43 minutes up right now. So you can check out all the stuff. We also have the Patreon bonus episode that we did here, as well as the other early stream releases. Here's the XHL, which is exclusive to Patreon. WWE Dark, the gut check qualifying match between Samoa Joe and Braun Breaker. 17 minutes of action there that you can only get exclusively on Patreon. That you can get at the $5 tier. So do check that out. Consider supporting the channel. All of these videos are going to be coming to YouTube later on, except for the ones that are Patreon exclusives. The NXT, that is exclusive to Patreon. So just do check that out if you want to help support the channel in such a way. So we are going to wrap things up here. Yeah, Eli said I saw my comment. I know. I don't know any other way to bring up the browser than to just click it in OBS, and then you have to quickly, bring it up from there. But we went about an hour here talking about AEW All In. Pretty awesome match. As always, follow along with us at Twitch. That's where we go live for a majority of our streams. Support the channel as you just saw on Patreon. Subscribe right here on YouTube. We're going to try to do some more reviews. And, of course, all the Twitch streams that we do, we'll break them up into 20 to 30-minute videos, drop them right here on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter or on X. We were live tweeting during All In, so if you want to tweet with us and interact with us, you can do so over on Twitter and support the channel by buying us a cup of coffee down there. We'll read your comment out during the stream if you want to help support the channel in that way. So leave your comments, favorite matches, favorite moments at AEW All In. I will respond to each and every comment down below. Curious what you guys thought. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, and let's go enjoy the rest of our night. See you later, everyone. We'll see you guys next time.